Healing is not a solo sport, honey. You cannot do it alone. Listening to this podcast, being here with me, that's help. Therapy helps you understand trauma responses. Coaching helps rebuild belief and direction. Education gives evidence that the lies you believed at one time aren't true. And those are the lies you've got to remove in order for you to grow. Each form of support serves a different purpose, okay? And together, they help rewire how you think, how you feel, how you respond. So please do the work and get the help. Welcome to Win-Win with Gwen, hosted by Gwendolyn Shores, author, inspirational speaker, transformational coach, and CEO of Minds Above Matters. This is the podcast where your dreams ignite, limits shatter, and action leads to the life that you deserve. Your breakthrough starts now. Listen, if you've been carrying something that feels heavy, or holding on to pain because it's familiar, or maybe you've convinced yourself that suffering is safer than starting over, then this episode right here, it didn't find you by accident. Welcome to Win-Win with Gwen. I'm your host, Gwendolyn Shores, and this is the podcast, the place where we don't just talk about change. We do the work it takes to make that change. This show is for the ones who know they were made for more, but life, trauma, fear of survival, and old habits keep getting in the way. This podcast is where we talk about healing, mindset, relationships, and even breakthroughs. Why do we do that? Because your future cannot afford your past to keep running the show. Welcome back to the Win-Win with Gwen podcast. I'm your host, transformational coach Gwendolyn Shores. And this is the place where we don't just talk about change. We do the work that causes change. This show is this is the podcast where we talk healing, mindset, relationships, and most definitely breakthroughs and wins. And why do we talk about these things? We talk about these things because your future self cannot afford your past to keep running the show, not when your past doesn't align with who you are becoming. And I'm here to help you step into the version of yourself you keep seeing inside of your beautiful spirit, because I see you. I love you. And I believe in you 101%. And therefore, I know that you deserve to live your best life. Guys, let's talk about consciously letting go. And I'm not talking about reading or watching an Instagram quote and thinking that releases it all. The quotes that we hear, they're beautiful and they do help, but it's deeper than that. And no, I'm not talking about the kind of let go that's done by simply saying things like, I forgive and forget. And after saying that, the hurt still hurts. I'm talking about the kind of letting go that feels like a burning identity. The kind that feels like death before it feels like freedom. Can you relate to that? The kind that makes you wonder, who will I be without pain? Who will I be without the pain I'm carrying? Because some burdens don't just sit in your hand, honey. They attach to your sense of self. There was a time in my life when I carried a burden so long that it began to feel official. It felt official. I carried it like it was a form of identification, like it was my driver's license, like a birth certificate or a social security card. It told me who I was, what I deserved, and how far I was allowed to go. It controlled me. That burden was the belief that I wasn't good enough, that I didn't deserve much in life, that my future had already been decided by others by my past pain. And let me tell you, that belief didn't come out of nowhere, guys. It was planted like little seeds by different people at different times. I was a teenage mother by the age of 17. I didn't finish high school because I dropped out because I was embarrassed to be at high school, and being pregnant wasn't a thrill. It was very humiliating. And while people love to simplify stories like that, the truth is more layered. So although you hear that part, there was more that went into that caused that. At home, I wasn't just surviving responsibility. I was surviving abuse, physical abuse, emotional abuse, verbal abuse, and all of that led to the things that I just told you that happened in my life. And when abuse and depression lives inside the same body, especially a teenager's body, school stops being about learning and it starts being about endurance. I didn't have time to learn. I was trying to find peace and safety and love. Oh, yes, I shut down back then. I disassociated myself. I disappeared while still being present. It was the way I survived. My teachers didn't see me for who I was. My teachers saw a girl who wasn't into books. In the words of my math teacher, Mr. Smith, a hard-headed, stupid, fast-tailed little girl who wasn't ever going to amount to nothing in life. That's who I was. They didn't see a nervous system that was in survival mode. They didn't see fear. The fear that was inside of me that was caused by abuse. They didn't see the pain. They didn't see a child trying to stay alive. And trust me, back then I fought to live. The life you see today came because I refused to give up. And the words that those people told me or said about me, they became my story. Be careful what you say to people, honey. See, and those stories became a burden. I carried the shame of dropping out of school, of being a teenage mother, of being abused, misused. I carried the lie that intelligence had left me, like I thought I was stupid. I carried the belief that I had ruined my future before it even got started. And I held on to that tightly. And it wasn't because it felt good, but because it felt known. It felt familiar. It felt common. You have to stop holding on to things just because they are common, okay? You can't hold on to things that are not aligned with you, things that are not good for you just because they're common, just because you are used to them. Just because we know how to survive inside of them don't make them right. Don't make them have to become a part of us. Pain becomes comfortable when it's familiar, but familiar don't make it right. Suffering can feel safer than the unknown because you've adapted to the suffering. And a lot of times we confuse endurance with loyalty to ourselves. Let me turn my phone off, guys. Give me a minute. Okay, but don't worry when it happens because intuition is the antidote to all of that. See, intuition is a gift from God. It's that quiet knowing. Yeah, you just feel it, you know it. It's that little nudge, that discomfort that whispers, this is costing you more than you admit. Oh, you've heard it before. We've all heard it. I ignored mine for a long time, and many of you that I'm talking to today ignored yours and probably are still ignoring it. I held on to that way too long until one day I realized that the burden I was carrying, it wasn't protecting me. It was preventing me from becoming the amazing person that I was meant to be. It was preventing me from living my purpose. It was keeping me from imagining a future that didn't include punishment. It was keeping me from trying again. It was my excuse from allowing myself to grow. And conscious letting go didn't happen all at once. I was consciously aware that I was needing to let go, but it didn't just happen. It happened in a moment of truth, a moment where I had to decide whether I would keep honoring words that were spoken over me during survival, during the times when people were tearing me down, misusing me and abusing me physically, emotionally. And guess what, guys? I had to stop and choose myself. Letting go felt like betrayal at first. I kid you not. It felt like I was letting go a part of myself. It felt like I was abandoning a version of me that had endured so much. A part of me that stuck by my side through the thick and thin. But here's what I learned. I learned you don't honor pain by staying loyal to it. Honey, you don't owe your pain nothing. You honor it by outgrowing it. See, when I release the belief that my past defined my capacity, life began again in that area. And it didn't magically happen, not instantly, okay? But intentionally. There was not some hocus pocus abracadabra moment. I had to do the work. And I always say that you've got to do the work. Yes, I had to get my GED. And then I went even further than that. I went to college. I earned my bachelor's degree. I'm always having a hard time saying that. And it didn't happen overnight. And it wasn't because I was just suddenly smarter. I didn't just suddenly become smarter, but because I stopped letting other people determine my worth, my intelligence, and my future. I let go of all of that. I put down what was never mine to carry, and I picked up what actually served me. And if you're listening to this as a teenager, or as a parent of a teenager, or as someone who has been surviving abuse in silence, hear me clearly. What's happening now doesn't get to decide the rest of your life, but it will if you don't intervene. You've got to do the work, because abuse left untreated, it becomes your identity. And I already showed you how it became mine. Shame left unchallenged becomes your destiny. And try not speaking about it. And that silence will teach pain where to live. You can't hold that in, honey. You got to let it. It's time to stop holding on to that. It's time to put it to rest. It's time to move on. It's time to consciously let it go. Stop the denial. You have to recognize that what once helped you survive may now be hurting you. It's all about forgiving yourself for staying as long as you did. Don't blame yourself. Don't hold yourself hostage to a past. It's forgiving others without allowing them to continue access to you any longer. You don't burn your future self by holding on. You burn it by refusing to release what no longer serves you. Let it go. And yes, letting go can feel like death because something is dying. An old belief, an old identity, an old survival strategy that you no longer need. But death in this context is not the end. It's transformation, honey. When you let go, you don't become empty. I promise you, you won't be empty. It's okay to let it go, because what you're going to become is available for clarity, available for peace, available for the life that's been waiting for you to make room for it. Look, I've given you a lot of information, honey. My mama used to always say, once you know better, you do better. And now you know better. So it's time to do the work so that you can do better for yourself. I ain't no different from you. I've just learned what happens when you stop dragging the past into the future. And yes, I did the work. So if this episode stirred something, if your chest feels a little tight right now, if your spirit finally feels seen, that's awareness. And awareness is the doorway to change. That means you're ready to change. I pray you feel the words I'm speaking right now. I pray you are ready to do the work to change, to heal, to grow, to become. So let me help you do the work, because feeling seen without direction keeps people stuck. I'm about to give you some directions. So here's how you begin doing the work that I'm talking about. The first thing I want you to do is this, okay? I want you to name what you've been carrying. Start the work by asking yourself, what belief did I pick up while I was trying to survive? Ask yourself, what story about myself came from pain, not truth? For me, it was believing I wasn't smart enough, believing my future was already decided, believing I missed my chance. Guys, you cannot release what you refuse to name. So I'm going to need you to name it. And don't just name it, I want you to write it down. Okay? Becoming aware of the source of pain is not weakness, honey, it's power. You've got to name the source of pain. You've got to name that pain. Next, you separate survival from identity. What helped you survive is not who you are. Dissociation is not your personality. Silence is not your nature. Hyper independence is not strength. Honey, that's nothing more and nothing less than protection. When I learned how trauma affects the nervous system, shame loosened its grip. I realized my body was doing its job. I realized that. And that understanding is what made healing possible for me. The next thing I want you to do is bring in support intentionally. Healing is not a solo sport, honey. You cannot do it alone. Listening to this podcast, being here with me, that's help. Therapy helps you understand trauma responses. Coaching helps rebuild belief and direction. Education gives evidence that the lies you believed at one time aren't true. And those are the lies you've got to remove in order for you to grow. Each form of support serves a different purpose, okay? And together, they help rewire how you think, how you feel, how you respond. So please do the work and get the help. Then you take one action that contradicts the lie. Don't try and do everything all at once. Slow down, okay? One step at a time. I don't want you to be overwhelmed by what I'm telling you, okay? For me, that action that I took was getting my GED. And I didn't wait until I felt confident, or else I never would have done it. I didn't wait until I was ready, okay? I just did it. I moved while I was afraid, and confidence followed evidence. Action teaches the nervous system safety, and it shows the brain new outcomes are possible. Honey, fear it and do it anyway, okay? And finally, practice conscious release daily. Letting go is not one decision. It's a practice. Okay? So keep showing up for yourself and keep trying to never give up, because each time the old belief returns, you pause and you just simply choose differently. That's how neural pathways change, identity shift, and how healing becomes embodied. You got this. Just take it slow. Save this, okay? So you can go back and look at these steps. And whatever you do, stop trying to heal alone in silence. Because many of us might not know it, but guess what? Silence is where pain grows roots. You have to talk about it, write about it, ask for help about it. Allow yourself to be seen without performing strength. You don't have to be strong all the time. It's okay. And that's how I did it. That's how I let it go. My attempts weren't perfect. They weren't quick, but they were intentional. You've got to be intentional. Guys, if this episode stirred something, if you feel exposed but hopeful, that's awareness. I mean, we got somewhere today, and I'm so proud of you because awareness is the beginning of freedom. And the only way to become free is if you do the work. Baby, you've got to do the work. I need you to like this episode, subscribe if you haven't. Share this episode with someone who needs permission to let go, okay? And don't be a gatekeeper. Please share it. I want you to remember, it's always a win-win with Gwen. And on the Win-Win with Gwen podcast, we are setting you up to win. I love you guys. I see you guys. And I want nothing more than for you to get everything in life that you deserve. I will see you guys here next week at the same time, 6:15 a.m. on Friday. Until then, keep doing the work and meet yourself where you are and be kind, okay? Bye, guys.